So here is the Hansshow mini screen box, and we can open that up. And you can see we've got instructions here. So there's the mini screen right there, and then the wiring. So wiring is for both the AMD and the Intel version. So depending on which version you have, this cable will work. So looks like they got some pretty detailed instructions, so we'll follow that. And then in the box, there's the screen and the connector, and this is for both again for the Intel and the AMD. So pretty simple. There's a USB port there, USB-C for updates. So that's pretty nice. And then the only other thing that's in here is that cable. So let's pull that cable out and take a look at it. Okay, so here's the cable laid out. This part is going to connect right there to the monitor. There's a spare cable. I'm not sure exactly what that's for. Spare something it says. But anyway, that cable gets plugged in there, and you can see this runs all the way across the front of the dash during the install. And then this part right here is the bypass for the Intel. So you're going to take this piece right here and you're going to plug that into the ECU, and I'll show you how to do that. And the cable that's in the ECU gets plugged in here, so it's just a straight bypass. And then this part right here, it's just a fuse. There's just a fuse. So if the screen stops working, it's potentially just that fuse. So this is the Intel part. And then if you have a late model 2022, then there's this blue cable that gets plugged in. It's down on the right side kick panel. And then this would get plugged into where this connector is on the side there. And then that cable plugs into here. And again, if it stops working, you've got a fuse. So it's pretty neat that they've actually made it so that there's two. This is good for both the versions, the Intel and the AMD. So once again, it starts there plugged into the monitor screen. This runs across the dash, and then depending on Intel or AMD, you choose one of the appropriate plugs. This is actually harder to do. So one of the things that you have to do is you have to pre-bend this piece. So it will go up in the dash like that and plug in. And then the other cable will plug in here. I'm an Intel, so I'll be using this, and I probably will have a better, an easier task because I already have something plugged into that spot. So we'll go through those steps. Anyway, that's what it takes to. This is the unboxing part. So it looks pretty basic. So the next steps are to remove all the panels to mount this piece and then put it into the car. Okay, well, let's get into it. Okay, so I've unboxed the Hansshow mini screen. It's right here. So connector, it's going to go like right there. And then this cable, again, it's for both the Intel and the AMD, will run from the little screen all the way to that side over there. So the first step is we're going to take off this panel, this part right here. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then this panel from the other side. Once we've got that all taken apart, then we'll take this piece off right here. So a couple steps that you have to do to get started. One is go into your settings. Go into steering wheel and lower that steering wheel all the way down and move it out as far as possible. This just gives you more space here. So we'll take this panel off, this off, the same panel on the other side, and this and the kick on the other side. And then we'll do the installation of removing, or do the next step, which will be the removal of the top piece here, and we'll put it all back together before we actually turn off the car and connect the cabling. Okay, so the tools you're going to need to do this job are some pry bars and this tool here for removing the pins that we'll have to do. I've got some masking tape I'm going to use to secure the cable underneath the dash, and we'll show you that as well. Other than that, that's probably all the tools you'll need. So let's get started. We'll go ahead and just take this piece off. So you can see right there that it just snaps off. There you go. So it's held in with these little pins right here in that spot, this one, and right here. And the reason you need to take this off is this piece is held in place by that. So we'll just pop this up. So put that there. Okay, so we'll pop the second side off. Again, held in with these pins. We'll pull off this top one here. So it just pops out and then slides up. So you can see right there, this piece here slides into that spot down there. And then this piece just snaps into there. So we'll put those there. And then we'll just lift up on the dash. There we go. So you can see that it's totally released there. We're just going to pull it back and take it out. So we'll just put this out of the way. Okay, so the next steps are to pull off these two pins, this one right here, to pull off this pin and that pin to release this piece, and then we can remove the cover. So let's go ahead and do that. Sorry. We're just and then this should just pop out. Like so. So once you've got that done, then you're just going to pry up on it. It's nice to have the tool here, so we'll just pull up that side, and we'll do this side as well. And then once you've got that whole piece, you should be able to just and you're pulling it out from underneath the steering wheel right there. And then now it's completely loose. So the next part is we're going to transfer this piece to here. And so we take this apart right here and we just pry this out, so there's a little clip there. And same on this side. And then you just press on those, basically pressing them in and pushing them out. There we go. Last one. There we go. So we have that piece taken off. So we'll just discard this for now. And then we'll bring this into play, and we will just place these in the same spot and snap it in. There we go. And then bring this over top, and bring this one over top as well. And there we go. That's all there is to it to put this back together. So now what we're going to want to do is run the cable. So you can see this piece cable has to go to the monitor, and what we're going to want to do is just run it along here over to the other side. And then we're going to place it out of the way. So I did see some people putting it right in through here, but I think we should be fine if we do like that. So we just got to make sure that we're not blocking any of these clips over here. So what we're going to do is run this cable over here. This one's not required. And then what we're going to do, let's just go ahead and connect this. So first off, it can only go one way. So it looks like it's this way. And you can see that it'll just snap into place. There we go. And then we're going to want to make sure that this cable doesn't get in the way of any of this stuff. Okay. So let's start with placing this inside. And I'll just point this out that when you're placing this in spot, these connectors have to be in the same spot that they were before. And you also have to make sure that this piece is getting tucked in. So right here. Let's try this side first. Yeah. Takes a bit of effort. You got to really push. There we go. That's really hard. Really just got to push them in together. Oh, that's by the way. You're going to want to take this cable and route it like that. So we'll just put a bit of tape on it. Again, we're trying to stay away from those clips. And then we'll just place these back in. There we go. So before we close this up, let's go ahead and see what happens. We'll move this up. Okay. And then the cable is loose. Okay. So that part's already done. So it's in place, looks pretty nice. Now we'll just make sure we put enough tape on this just so it doesn't move around or actually rattle. I've heard of things rattling in these cars, so we'll just make sure. I'll go on the other side. So we're just placing tape to hold the cable in place so it doesn't move. Not really there to secure it, just to stop it from moving around. Okay, you can see I've gone and put the cable all the way across, and I've got it down here, and it's going to go down through this hole right here. Now that I've got the wires run down across, I'm going to replace the dash and the end cap to get that piece done. There's no need to just leave it like this, so we'll just go ahead and put that back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just place this underneath here, get it in the right spot, and then lock in the clips. And then I'm going to place these end caps back on. So now that we've got this piece back in place, we just need to replace these two pieces and then plug this into the car. So you can see I've taken off this panel right here, and that allows me to bring this cable, brings this cable down and underneath. But if I had the AMD chip, this would plug right there, like that. And then this cable would be unplugged. This would plug into that. And then that cable would plug into this one right here. Unfortunately, mine doesn't have it, so I've got to go up here. So I'm going to go ahead and... So I'm just going to go ahead and remove those panels there. Okay, so there's some clips back here. We remove this last panel, and we'll see how that goes. So we're just going to unplug those clips. And there we go. Just going to disconnect the light and the speaker. So you can see up, way up past here, there's a second connector that has to be plugged in. I'm very fortunate, I think. I can plug into it right there. So at this point, I'm gonna shut down the computer, the car, and then plug that in. Safety. And right here, you power off. So it's gonna power off the car. It'll be off for a period of time. To turn it back on, you're going to press the brake pedal. So I've got a little bit of time here to do this. So once again, here's the cable that I'm using. It's just the Intel piece, and it's just a bypass. So I'm going to disconnect my Nginx module and then put this in between it. Okay, so we've now got it, at least look, it's all installed. You can see there, it's completely installed. We're put back together. That took about, I don't know, 45 minutes, I think. If it was the AMD, it would probably be a lot less stuff to take apart. Anyway, so from where I sit, I'd be looking at it kind of like this. It easily is visible. Okay, again, I prefer the other one. I don't need to know my odometer, so I'm just going to go ahead and change it. So it's right button all the way to the right. Scroll down to UI 1 and then change it to UI 1, and then go ahead and back out of it. So I like that one better. It tells me how fast I'm going, which I prefer kilometers because I'm Canadian, but you could definitely put it in miles. And then it's showing tire pressures and what gear you're in. So that's really good. Take it for a drive and see what how that plays out. But anyway, I'm really happy with this. If you're interested in purchasing this, Hansshow is having a Black Friday deal coming up really soon, and you can use my 15% discount. Use the code BC Tesla Guy. Again, it's BC Tesla Guy. It'll be in the description as well as in the first comment. Okay, I want to thank Hansshow for providing me with this mini screen. It looks really nice. It adds to the car. I won't have to look over at the other monitor for speeds or anything like that. So I like that. Another part that I like is it's not blocking any of the air, so that's definitely a plus for sure. Definitely pretty cool. I have access to the tire pressures right on that main screen. I don't have to go and fumble through the monitor to get to it, so that's pretty good as well. So I just want to show the view that I get of the Hansshow mini screen here. It's easy to see for me. It works out really well. So here's what you see right there. So you can see that the screen is easily seen, and I'm using the UI one, which is the one that I prefer. It shows my tire pressures, how fast I'm going, the speed limit, what gear I'm in, and then on the bottom left it actually tells me the range, and then that would be the EPA range, and then on the bottom right is actually the battery percentage. So there's no need to go over here anymore and like click over and see what I'm actually getting, because it's the same here. It also shows left signal, right signal. I can set the distances for autopilot as well. So everything seems to be functioning just perfect. I really like this screen. So you can see I can move this steering wheel up and down. I can move it out and in, and has no impact on it because it's actually part of the console or the steering wheel console. Didn't know how much I missed having a screen in front of me till I got this thing. So again, this is what I actually see right here. So it's really nice. So I've been driving my car for a couple days with the new Hansshow mini screen that goes in behind the steering wheel, and I've seen a couple things I just want to point out. One is, if you are in a country that is in miles and you try and set it for kilometers, or the speed that you're traveling will be correct, but the limit will be in miles, and that goes for in Canada as well. So if you're in Canada, which is in kilometers, and then you go out and set it to miles, the speed that you're traveling will be in miles, but the limit will be in kilometers. So that's just one thing that I noticed with the Hansshow mini screen. Another thing is, when you first turn it on and you start putting in the settings for the time, it doesn't, or at least twice now that I've rebooted my car, the time doesn't seem to be correct. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes for it to sync up to be the right time. So that's just something to be aware of. If you're plugging it in, don't get frustrated that it's got the wrong time. Just let it go for about 15 minutes and it should set to the correct time. So one more thing that I noticed as well, if you have a Intel 2022, like my car, it was just before they moved over to the AMD chip. Down in the panel on the right by the passenger, I actually have the AMD plugs there. I plugged into the ECU originally and thought, well, I'll just leave it like that, but I was doing something else and I decided I should just go ahead and test to see if I can plug into those plugs, because they are in my car. And lo and behold, it worked just fine. So right now I've just left it in the AMD plugs, so it's that blue plug and then the bypass for that small plug. Anyway, that's something I didn't think would work, but it actually did. So just for yourself, if you have an early 2022 and you're putting in this screen, it's easier to plug into the AMD ports that are there than to try and plug into the ECU. So hopefully you found that interesting as well.